Hello and welcome to the needs analysis results portion of my curriculum. So I am first going to just show you the two kinds of needs analysis I did, and we're going to kind of analyze them looking at the advantages and the disadvantages and the results. So the first needs analysis I did was a Google form using a student survey. This I sent out to the 10A class, who will be the 11th graders taking this course next year. Now, the advantages of this Google form was that it involves all the students who will be participating in this course. It allowed students to reflect on their wants, needs, and desires for a future course, giving me more clarity on how I can adapt and make this course very relevant to what they need. Next, it identified the sequence of genres to teach. It showed me which genre the students felt was most difficult and which one they felt most familiar with. And this helped me to put the easiest one first so that we could build up to the more complicated and complex writings. It also allowed insight into how I can give students feedback that is going to resonate with them and meet them where they are at. Now, there are a couple of disadvantages to this kind of tool. The first being that not all of the students took it, and so I only had a small pool. And it doesn't include all of the students who maybe have different wants, desires, or needs. Next, it has a limited amount of questions, which can again only give me a small view rather than a broader view, as an interview maybe could give me more information on. Next, students are very exam focused at the moment, as that is our school's way of doing things. And so they're not always writing about their wants, their desires, and their needs, but more so just what's been ingrained into them. Now, the results of this were actually quite eye-opening and very helpful to me. The first was that the students want to learn writing because they see it as a necessary skill for the future. Next, they said that it is difficult to organize their thoughts clearly and cohesively. They said that they preferred teacher feedback. Now, some preferred one-on-one teacher feedback that was verbal, whereas others preferred it where it was just some written guided notes using maybe bullet points or just the normal notes that I give them now. Next, students felt least confident in proposal and most confident in emails. The goals for 11th grade varied greatly depending on the student, but it seemed overall they hoped to improve in their formal and academic writing. Now, for the second thing that I did for this course for needs analysis is I have two co-teachers. I have a Filipino co-teacher who's been teaching my students for just about a month, and then I've got a Mongolian co-teacher who's been teaching these students for 3 years. And like I've previously said, these students don't have a lot of formal instruction in writing. So this interview was more so for me to get a deeper understanding of what my colleagues see as my students' weaknesses, what we can do to better improve our students' writing, and where we aligned and differed. The advantages of this was that we were able to work collaboratively with my co-teachers to get multiple perspectives on student strengths and weaknesses, because something I'm focused on, maybe my co-teacher sees something differently, and this is a way for us to brainstorm and come together. Next, it brought attention to students' needs that may have been missed in my personal analysis of the survey. It identified students' needs for a focus on technicalities and helped define course goals and objectives overall in the English department. It then helped to align the course with institutional goals. Just because I have specific goals, I still have to align my course and what I'm teaching with what my institution requires through the Pearson platform. There were a couple of disadvantages here, which was creating time to have an interview. My teachers are teaching over 30 hours a week, and so finding that time to have like an in-depth interview was not easy. Next, The expectations of teaching between teachers was different and hard. For example, I'm coming from an American perspective that is very Western and hands-on and communicative, whereas Hangra is more task-based, notebook-based. And so we had to take time to kind of look at, oh, what are our similarities, what are our differences, which then could create a little bit of maybe not tension necessarily, but more of a breakdown in communication to understand what the other was saying. Next, the students' needs and institutional values clash greatly. And I say this in the fact that, like, the students might want to write about what they like and what they enjoy, but we're required by the book to kind of follow a specific theme. So that could have been a little bit difficult to see the student analysis and then to see the teacher interview and how those class. Now that may not be necessarily a disadvantage to this form of tool that I used, but in my mind it is a disadvantage that kind of came out, is that I'm seeing some clashing happening. So the teacher results were quite interesting, and I'm not super surprised by some of them. All teachers agreed that the students' writing needs more practice and improvement, and that the students haven't had enough time with this. The students consistently make technicality mistakes such as spelling, punctuation, capitalization, alongside organization. We all agreed that spelling and punctuation and capitalization specifically are a major area that is needing to be improved in this group. And we're hoping through the revising and editing portion that will help, as well as maybe in the other classes assigning more practice in those areas. The teachers did differ in opinion on whether the textbook should be adapted or not. Should you follow it exactly, or is it okay to change some things? But at the end of the day, it was agreed upon that for this course that was okay to do. Hangra felt more strongly about adhering to instruction that followed the book, such as the material as possible, just because the book is what is the institution requiring. And again, as I previously stated, Mongolians typically don't defer too far from the curriculum because they have to get through a lot, and so they're usually zooming through each unit and not taking a lot of time. Whereas Jack felt it was important to teach content, but that slowing down and using differentiated instruction was key to students' learning success. And this is an area that I feel very strongly about, and I also agreed with, and something I implement into my class. We all agreed students need to learn the process of writing, as they rely heavily on the internet to think and write for them. And we agreed that students need to learn how to revise and edit their writing, and by doing this, we are going to be able to set them up for success and growth in their writing.